is VOA News. Via remote, I'm Diane Roberts. The U.S. city of Memphis in the southern state of Tennessee is preparing for the funeral service of Tyree Nichols, the motorist beaten to death by police officers. Many mourners are already in place for the service that is to begin in about 30 minutes. AP correspondent Donna Warder reports.
This morning's funeral for the 29-year-old man will be held at Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church, and the Reverend Al Sharpton will deliver the eulogy.
We are going to have a dignified funeral service, not a marathon.
Expected to attend the funeral are Vice President Kamala Harris, the mother of Breonna Taylor, and the brother of George Floyd. Taylor and Floyd also died at the hands of police, and their deaths sparked national protests. I'm Donna Warder.
Some Memphis media outlets are reporting that 4 of the 5 officers charged in the case had previous infractions on their records. That's according to personnel files obtained through records requests. Activists are pushing for changes in federal and state law. Reverend Al Sharpton says activists will keep pushing to end qualified immunity that protects officers from civil suits. Hundreds of thousands of people welcomed Pope Francis as he arrived at Kinshasa's Ndolo Airport on Wednesday before the pontiff delivered a mass to the crowds. The crowd showed their joy while Pope Francis waved to them from his specially adapted vehicle, the Pope Mobile. The morning mass was Francis's first big event in the Congo after he arrived Tuesday. His is the first papal visit since 1985. This is VOA News. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is in the Philippines for talks on deploying larger numbers of U.S. forces and weapons in more Philippine military camps. More from VOA's Steve Miller.
China's increasingly aggressive actions against Taiwan and in the disputed South China Sea have been causing concerns in Washington. Philippine Ambassador to Washington, Jose Romualdez, said Austin will discuss a U.S. request for additional access to local military camps for American forces. U.S. forces have recently intensified and broadened joint training with Filipino troops, including on the western coast, which faces the South China Sea. Austin also visited southern Zamboanga City and met Filipino generals and a small contingent of U.S. counterterrorism forces. Steve Miller, VOA News.
The Kremlin said Wednesday that any deliveries of long-range weapons to Ukraine by Western countries would not change Russia's military objective in Ukraine or change fighting on the battlefield. This after unconfirmed reports that Washington is planning to give Ukraine missiles with a range of up to 150 kilometers or 93 miles. Kyiv has begun asking its military backers for modern fighter jets and missiles with greater range. Ukraine's allies have so far declined to supply the weapons over concerns that they could be used to strike targets inside Russia, further escalating the conflict. The past year saw little progress in tackling global corruption due to greater violence and insecurity, according to the organization Transparency International. Henry Ridgwell reports there are some encouraging signs that corruption is being successfully tackled in Africa.
For the 6th year running, South Sudan, Syria and Somalia are at the bottom of Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index. The report says conflict and corruption create a vicious cycle. The report says Russia's invasion of Ukraine last February exemplifies the threat that corruption poses for global security. The authors say Russian oligarchs have amassed fortunes by pledging loyalty to President Vladimir Putin, who operates with impunity in the absence of any checks on power. Henry Ridgwell for VOA News, London.
Suez Canal tugboats are working to move a broken-down LNG tanker. 2 canal sources told Reuters Wednesday, adding that shipping traffic is unaffected. The incident happened in a southern section of the canal where a second channel allows for ships to bypass the blockage caused by an engine malfunction. And National Football League quarterback Tom Brady, who won 7 Super Bowls and is considered one of the best in the game, announced in a Twitter post Wednesday that he's retiring after 23 seasons. Via remote, I'm Diane Roberts, VOA News.
Please subscribe, like, or comment. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Patrick. I'm an American. I grew up in the U.S. I am a professional English language educator. with extensive experience in teaching English, especially English for academic purposes, test preparation, and general English to university students and adults